All right, now we're ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for attending, or if you're watching this live a little bit, or watching the recording rather later on. Appreciate you registering for this, checking this out, talking about just how to equip your sales and marketing team just in this current landscape, and to make sure that your firm is in the best position that it can be to help you generate more clients or the right clients, but just to really kind of paint the corners and really fill in the cracks of your sales and marketing team. So my name is John Hinson. I'm with Spotlight Branding. We provide content marketing for solo and small law firms. We are all about helping you generate more referrals, not necessarily where we don't really care about where you rank on Google or anything like that. We're really about helping position you as the expert and helping you generate more referrals. And I am joined today by Molly McGrath from Hiring and Empowering. Molly, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Absolutely. Okay. So I'm so excited to be here too. This is a conversation that I am incredibly passionate about, how to enroll and equip your sales and marketing team, especially in this very volatile job landscape. And as John said, he works very much with content creation and supporting you all with outsourced marketing initiatives. And so often I find that people will hire agencies or what have you, but the make or break of it all is really enrolling and equipping your in-house team or outsourced team in regards to how to support your marketing initiatives, your marketing agencies, etc. So let me just share my screen here a little bit.
And while you got that coming up, for anybody's edification, if you have any questions throughout this, feel free to throw those into the chat. I will be keeping my eye on it. You're not going to interrupt us. You're not going to mess us up by any means. Please feel free to ask whatever questions that you have into the chat, and we will make sure we address them. We'll also have time at the end today in about 50 minutes to answer any additional questions that come up. So I was trying to vamp long enough just to get, there we go. There it goes. Oh no, it disappeared. I saw it at the end.
Do you see it now?
I do not.
Okay.
I see you. I see you and me.
Okay, I don't know how to work this platform.
Interesting. Let's see. So yeah, on the bottom menu in the browser, on the bottom, there should be share screen, and then it should just easily pop up a box with all of your available windows. Oh, okay. Got something coming. It's coming. Connecting. Almost there. All right. You're sharing your window. There you go.
Do you see my whole screen?
We're good now.
Okay.
Take it away.
All right, great. So I'll just quickly introduce you all. For many of you that don't know me, I have been in the legal space since 1997. I've staffed, coached, recruited, and consulted for over 9 legal organizations. I'm incredibly passionate about enrolling, empowering, and equipping your team to support you into becoming entrepreneurs in an entrepreneur's world. I am consistently every Thursday blogging, every Tuesday podcasting, and really out there to support attorneys, law firm owners, C-suites with equipping your marketing and your front of the house, your client service coordinators, your intake coordinators, your sales force, whatever terminology resonates with you, to really work in tandem with all of your marketing initiatives. So for today, I'm really going to talk about the current truth behind the landscape and the common pitfalls that law firms encounter when trying to empower and enroll and educate your sales and intake and marketing team. And again, when I use the word sales, a lot of times attorneys get a little squeamish around that terminology. From my perspective, The most important role in your law firm are your receptionists, the people that are at the front of your house. So when I use the word and the term today sales, for me, that means anybody who is on the front lines, where it comes from lead generation to lead conversion. And your first step within lead conversion is actually the quote unquote receptionist. And then your intake team, et cetera, whether they're in-house or they're virtual, or you have a service like Smith AI or Ruby Receptionist or what have you. I also want to talk about how to retain amazing rock star employees that will make the real difference in combination with your marketing initiatives, and how to implement effective key performance indicators, ROI, data and analytics to generate a steady stream of high quality clients before they even get into that conference room. So when they're meeting with your attorneys and your sales team, it is very easy. The people are already feel acknowledged, heard, seen. You follow process, they follow production, and they're pre-qualified before they even get in there. And if they're not qualified, they're not going to make it in there. And then John can talk about your drip systems and newsletters and email campaigns and etc. But I really want to talk today about what's going on. So often, especially since 2020 and the pandemic or what have you, we're hearing from people about the great employee resignation, that employees are in the driver's seat. They're demanding everything in regards to what they want from an employer, remote, whatever it might be, hybrid, unlimited PTO, pay, and et cetera. And people don't want to work anymore. And in my experience, so, we've recruited and staffed for over 4,500 law firms in multiple positions. And since the pandemic, we are getting a tremendous amount of calls because what makes music to my ear is in the legal space is blown up in every practice area. And it's really great. People are now really understanding visibility. They're understanding a digital footprint. They're engaging and enrolling and hiring marketing initiatives now, and really understanding that when there's economic downturn or recession or what have you, finally, law firms are understanding that marketing is absolutely the last thing that you should cut. And, based on old school times when that was the first thing, people would just do a knee-jerk reaction to cut. And so now leads are higher than ever, revenue's higher than ever, initial consultations are higher than ever. We're employing marketing agencies, what have you, but we need someone on the front lines in the house working closely with the marketing team. And in my experience, there are two factors that I'm seeing that for people of why they're job hopping, why they're looking for a new opportunity, or why they're leaving law firms. And number one is really there's a lack of engaged and empowered culture, and really understanding that we are hiring human beings versus human doings, that we are investing and empowering them and engaging them and bringing them into the weekly marketing meetings. We're having them work very, very closely with their sales force, et cetera. They are enrolled in your core values and your true north, in the vision, in the mission, and what have you. And so often when we're interviewing candidates, when they say to us, number one reason why you're looking to either leave your law firm or why you're looking for a new law firm, they'll use this blanket term that they're looking for more opportunity. And by and large, employers will believe that means more money, more raises, more whatever. And in our experience, it's because they are not included. They are not involved in the culture, all the big vision, all the big strategy, everything's happening behind closed doors in marketing strategic retreats and CEO retreats, what have you. But they're the ones who are on the front line. And the sooner that you can bring them in and they are connected and they are involved and they are part of the culture. My favorite is when I send out emails to my recruiters to people are you looking for a new opportunity? Do you want to talk to a recruiter today? I may have a better opportunity for you. And so often people reply and say, not interested. They don't even know if we're going to give them another $20,000 a year or unlimited PTO or hybrid or what have you. And so I started surveying all the people that said not interested. And the number one result was because they had an engaged and empowered culture. The second highest response that came was consistent collaboration and communication, that there's a collaborative environment within there. It means that we embrace the breakdowns to the breakthroughs, that we are engaged in the conversations. If I'm the receptionist, I'm in the marketing meeting, I'm communicating what the life cycle of each lead was, why people didn't move forward, what was the exact language that they gave us. Then we're giving it to the marketing team so they can create copy and content with that, versus people just assuming that we're not following up with leads, we're not doing what have you. We're getting deeply curious about the data and the information, and every person on the sales force, to the receptionist, to the intake team, to the marketing team, are having a collaborative approach, because so often there'll be a tremendous amount of finger pointing to the marketing team. Well, you're not creating results for me. I'm not getting any leads from social media. We're not getting any leads from that newsletter, that blog that you sent out to us. And the chopping block or the measuring stick for the marketing initiatives are always just factored into leads. But the leads and the viability of the lead is only as good as the data. So it's like, well, no, actually, when we empower our receptionists, our intake coordinators, our client service coordinators, our sales force, all through the process until they get to engagement, we are consistently asking them and having the powerful questions of how they heard about us. So often I will hear from people when they start doing this through the process, they're like, oh, yeah, I came from Google. So we're assuming that you're getting the best return on investment on Google ads or what have you. But in the intake script, and when the receptionist and the sales force are really in tandem with the questions to ask, the client will always, or prospective client will always give information like, yeah, I found you on Google. Great. And then when they're going through that, and then they're in the conference room doing the intake, they're like, yeah, when I read your blog yesterday, you talked about blah, blah, blah. That's really why I came in here. And we're like, ding, ding, ding. We're going back and updating the lead source. It wasn't Google. It was actually the blog. So when everybody has this consistent, persistent, collaborative communication and approach to really being involved in the data, you better bet your bottom dollar that your receptionist's never ever going to leave. They are on a path of personal and professional growth. They are engaged. Now they see themselves as not just a receptionist. They're part of the marketing team. They're part of the Salesforce team. And lo and behold, people are not wanting to job hop. They're not leaving for more money. When you have an engaged and empowered culture, when you have consistent collaborative communication, when you have a marketing coordinator, when you have an intake coordinator that's working in tandem with all your marketing initiatives, you have real live data that is not only that will give you the result, but that will consistently expand. You'll see your receptionist showing up at the marketing meeting offering, this is why the clients aren't hiring us. Our intake process is 16 pages long. Nobody will do their homework, so they're calling and canceling the appointments. Now marketing's like, great, now we have new copy. Let's really make the difference of what we can go in there and do our videos, our blogs, our newsletters, what have you, talking about our process. The challenges in finding and retaining talented people, because it's one thing to hire people, it's a whole other thing to keep people. And again, it's really the competition has never ever been stiff, especially in the legal space. Globally, for all positions, the unemployment rate in the legal space is 2.8%. I don't say that from a place of fear, but I say that from a place of empowerment for people really to get deeply curious about looking at their increased competition and looking at understanding that candidates are interviewing you just as much as you are interviewing them. When I tell candidates that they hire, they have a marketing initiative, that they hire outsource, they invest in marketing, they invest in incorporating you into weekly meetings. We have very, very collaborative approach. You know, your competition is so stiff right now for every industry, really, truly. But also when you have a very, very old school, traditional, heavy and hard interviewing process, time kills all deals. You all have probably heard that. And with sales language, it is equally in the interviewing stage, because especially when you're interviewing people in the sales force and the marketing force. And when I use marketing, it's every position from a marketing intern to a marketing coordinator to what have you. Because often law firms are still late, you know, depending on these 3 interviews, 4 interviews. I have court schedules, what have you. We can't get people in. Candidates right now, they're shark infested water with recruiters. So the person that gets to them fast sells the firm culture, sells at the firm, invests in communication, invests in collaboration, invests in marketing, invests in data and analytics, will always, always will. And so really this is especially in the sales and marketing force, because so often now is an opportunist time, because many people are panicking and they're cutting marketing and all this conversation about ChatGPT and AI and what have you. And when we say we are a progressive, we don't operate from fear. We are not cutting our marketing budget. And this goes right down to when you're hiring associates and paralegals as well. Because when they come back to us, they will say, you know, there's no opportunity for growth. This firm is not on a progressive path. They are not visible. They have no digital footprint. We don't over communicate with our clients. We don't have client appreciation. We don't have any referral sources, what have you. So at the end of the day, we're still operating from very old school mentalities. Retention and engagement as well. This is so incredibly important. Again, through your interviewing process, through your ads, when you're putting them out there, through your onboarding process, through your consistent communication of really professional sync opportunities for personal and professional growth. And law firms in this day and age, especially law firms, because it's an industry that is very late to the game, if you will, by and large, to really adapting the culture of really embracing collaboration and communication. So you must create a supportive environment and competitive compensation, and then incentive-based compensation that is not going to harm the firm financially, but really creates this collaboration and empowerment and engagement to keep and retain your employees. Again, they will not leave you. So some of the pitfalls that I see that law firms are encountering in sales and marketing. I serve as a fractional CMO and a CEO for many law firms. So I'm running their weekly level 10 meetings. I'm looking at data and analytics. I'm managing and facilitating their weekly marketing meetings. So if you have a separate Facebook ads company that you're working with, or a Google ads company, or someone like Spotlight Branding that's really supporting you through your referral and your nurturing initiatives and what have you, they're all in there. We are all locked and loaded, arms loaded. There's no finger pointing. There's no shame or blame. We are leveraging and maximizing our time together. And when there are clear goals and expectations, and they're in alignment, not misaligned with the objectives, then this hinders. There's finger pointing that goes on from sales to marketing or what have you. And you're operating based on emotions versus facts and data. So when there's a lack of clarity, you have to remember you're hiring human beings, not human doings. Human beings first and foremost. And human beings want time, attention, and feedback. Human beings want to be value creators. Human beings want to be difference makers. That's why most lawyers go into law. They want to make a difference. They want to have an impact in your employees, right down to your marketing and sales team. And so often people put marketing and sales into one bucket. And, you know, John will probably talk about this a little bit, but really having clear goals of where marketing is lead generation. lead nurturing, and sales is lead conversion. So really getting clear on finding the breakdown of in the funnel, in the process of where it is, so we can make 2 millimeter shifts, so we can make decisions in real time. Another pitfall is inadequate training and development. I cannot tell you how many law firms that I come in when it comes to the onboarding process. They may or may not have that locked and loaded and working, but when there's insufficient or absence of learning opportunities that are really embedded within your growth weekly, not quarterly strategic retreats, what have you, but weekly, where we are talking about skill growth. We are talking about employee ownership and responsibility, engagement, who's doing what to reach goals, what worked, what didn't work about last week, where are the breakdowns in every step of that process, then you will have consistent results. And consistent results equal, consistent calendar. And so go the calendar, so go cash flow when it comes from a place of marketing and sales. And then again, poor communication and coordination between teams, especially in marketing. Many law firms, many businesses now have really gotten out of that mindset that we're going to hire somebody, that one marketing person that's going to do everything and anything. The beauty of this day and age is the ability to really, riches and niches, people to focus on their unique ability and their part and get really clear and concise about it in a way that is anchoring to true north and the goal, and then bringing that collaboration together. And so many law firms are missing that and then feeling frustrated and furious with either the marketing people or the sales people or what have you. But it's really inefficiencies and disjointed conversion efforts, which lead to your results. Anything you want to say about that, John?
Yeah. I was going to bring this up later, but I'm glad you brought it up now, because when you're talking about your marketing people, you really need 2 different kinds of people on your team, or at least 2 different kinds of people working on your marketing. You need someone who is highly analytical and understands data, can really parse through a lot of that, can understand, what those numbers mean, understand what they need to do to make adjustments and make tweaks to different ad campaigns or the strategy in general. But then you also need a very creative minded person. You need someone who is able to create, visually engaging graphics, who can create content that speaks to the audience, makes emotional connections with audience, and provides value, and is able to communicate it at their level. And at least in my experience, those are not the same people. They are very different people, and it's very difficult to find someone who can do both things exceptionally well. You can find someone who's really good at analytics and can probably pass as a decent copywriter, if they can practice enough. At the same time, you can find someone who is really good with the creative stuff and they can learn the analytic side of it, but like their decision making and their scope of decision making is still going to be pretty limited, just because that's just not how their mind operates on a default level. And so, when you're talking about, trying to find the right people, that, you're not going to find necessarily a unicorn every single time, but you need to make sure that you understand what you need from each seat in your marketing department and really outline what those accountabilities are and figure out what kind of person needs to be in there.
I would add a third one to that too, if I may. I love that the creative and the analytics are absolutely, but I'm always that, my passion is always about the front of the house, the client service coordinator, the receptions. I think a third person that I would add to that is kind of the client person as well, because the voice to the customer. And when you can bring the analytics and the content creation and the creative and really just really honing in and hammering and nailing your copy, your content creation, your curation, in addition to your messaging and branding out there like you all do, then having your person who's on the phone, their client facing, so they can give you the information and the data from, what's resonating, what's not, what have you, and then tracking every single lead that comes in there, and then telling you the voice of the customer to hand over to the creative to create new copy, because you speak into people's listening in a way that makes a difference for them. And that's a piece I see that so many law firms are missing. And I think would help your job so much more as the person, as an analytic, as a creative, because when we give creative the new information, now analytics can go set up the whole new fields, a new marketing initiative that we're going to do the copy, and then see what's converting, what's messaging, what's connecting, what have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense. So, we talked about finding, we talked about empowering, we talked about attracting people to really take your job, what makes your culture. Because at the end of the day, your employees, you should be selling them every single day and re-enrolling them into your culture and who you are. So that's about retention. Retention is really reminding them subconsciously, because of the standardized daily communication system that you have in place. People need consistent time, attention, and feedback. And so professionals need that. You need that as a C-suite, as an owner operator, as an attorney, as a business owner, what have you. So having a communication system effectively collaborate, resolve breakdowns, create breakthroughs, produce daily results by a daily huddle. And we don't have time to walk through the tools today, but I'm absolutely happy to share my daily huddle agenda that has absolutely transformed law firms, where everybody's getting in there. You get on, it's like your locker room huddle before you go on the Super Bowl playing field. There is a reason in professional sports that they have the huddle before, that they watch film intently after, that they have timeouts, that they have half times, what have you. They don't have a plan to let's go make $100,000 a month and convert, 80% of our clients or what have you, and just go full force and never talk about it on the daily, on the hourly, about, okay, what worked with this, what didn't work with that, etc. And then having incentive-based compensation plans. And this is really gamifying your results. So go the calendar, so go cash flow. I said that earlier. When you have, and again, I'm happy to share my plan, never ever harming the firm, never ever impacting profit or anything in that nature. It is enrolling and empowering your team, because when you're people on the front lines are very much attached to what happens on the sales room, what happens in the marketing department or what have you, you better bet your bottom dollar that they're not going to let anybody handle or accept a cancellation or reschedule. They're going to do everything to keep the client or prospective client engaged and make sure they get there. You better bet your bottom dollar that when they see 10 leads come in today and not one of them picked up the phone, or not one of them, they were angry and grouchy, or that they wouldn't schedule an appointment, what have you, they're going to call a timeout and in the daily huddle, give marketing the information. Here's the analytics. There are 100 leads that came in. I called and did this or what have you, because they have a bonus attached to it. It's a team-centric approach and everybody's really gamifying it. And when you're gamifying anything, what's attached to that? Fun, collaboration, what have you. So it's not about just getting bonuses and raise, which brings me to my third point, and having quarterly employee growth plans. Again, I will absolutely share all three of these tools with anyone who's listening today. Happy to do that. Just shoot me an email. We'll have it at the end of it. You go to my website, go to molly@hiringandempowering.com. And the employee growth plans are really an entrepreneur mindset to get your employees where every quarter They know their game plan. They know exactly what they're playing into. They're telling you where they feel like they can step up and lead. They're giving you initiative. So often I have had people that have been on the front lines, properly trained, properly following the system that I'm talking about today. And when they get into their quarterly and growth plans, like, I want to move to the marketing team. I really want to work with Spotlight Branding on our referral program. I really see how we're missing an opportunity. We need to be out in the community more. I want to go out and do community outreach, what have you. But never in a million years, if they only had an annual review that is basically pass or fail, raise or not, keep your job or not, what have you, there is a whole process in this where they're doing an evaluation of themselves, and they're coming to you with their own, what they see they can do to impact the bottom line and be very involved in the firm. And it's incredibly empowering, and it's incredibly exciting for the attorney when they're, or manager, leader, whatever, depending on your org chart, when an employee comes in like that, because it takes all the pressure off you. In regards to, now it comes into a coaching conversation. Now it comes into a leadership conversation. And which brings me to what makes this is when you're implementing effective KPIs for high quality clients, you're having your team members are running the initial contact focuser. I've been talking about this since we started. They're understanding the why, what, and where. They're understanding the lead to a book consult. They're understanding cancellations, reschedules, and no-shows. They're understanding what it takes to get people into the conference room, so to speak, and they're understanding consult to hire. They're running this report every single week in tandem with marketing, in tandem with your sales force. And again, when they're meeting every single week and they're looking at the data, they're looking at the information, there is no longer a crisis. There is no longer whose head is on the chopping block. They're locking arms and fixing this. And the second piece is that they have their follow-up focuser. The phone will make you rich. I cannot tell you how many law firms that I talk to, and they're leaning heavily on email marketing or Google AdWords or pay-per-click, especially if you're in PI or what have you, and nobody is picking up the phone to follow up with these leads. Once I start having teams furnish a follow-up focuser every single week and actually picking up the phone all the way from a lead, that automatically revenue goes up by 33% at a minimum, because people in this day and age don't pick up the phone anymore. They don't follow up. And then they're mad at marketing because none of these leads are converting, when we're like, well, we're sending a newsletter, we're doing the blogs, we're doing the email follow-up. But at the end of the day, you're in the personal services industry. People are buying you, and hiring you because they trust you. They feel seen, they see validated, they feel heard. But how do we expect to say we're the best at really giving compassion-driven counsel, but we won't even pick up the phone to support marketing and sales? And lastly is a weekly marketing meeting. I can't tell you how many firms I meet with, especially larger firms, that, have no shortage of budget or what have you, but have shortage of time, and they're not putting the oxygen mask on themselves. So we're writing checks for consultants and experts and what have you, but we're not giving the consultants the information and data and what have you because of the lack of the marketing meeting. And the one that I talk about, it is same place, same time every day. It is ran like a board of directors meeting. It has an agenda. The entire front of the house is involved in this, and it's a game changer. And come hell or high water, we are not missing this marketing meeting. And it's led and facilitated and managed by the marketing coordinator, which could be, in most firms, your client service coordinator as well. So I know I went fast. I know we went short, but I just wanted to give you a teaser and some, examples of what we really can do to just make that 2 millimeter shift of how it's not an either or conversation, and how sales and marketing and client services really, really run, I believe, have to run in tandem.
Yeah, no, and that was great. I mean, I'm going to even grab that huddle agenda from you because you want to see, I just want to see what you're doing because we're always looking to find ways to make our huddles a lot better. If you don't mind, could you click people on the left side of the menu?
Yep.
And then where it says trainers up at the top, when
yep.
it comes out, click that, and then click those 3 dots beside my name and click assign control. Perfect.
Yep.
You're a pro. You've already figured it out. Good. All right. So I'm glad you went first. And I'm glad for everything you said, because all I'm going to say is just don't worry about your marketing, hire Spotlight Branding. That's it. Webinar over. See you guys later. No, I'm not going to do that. No, look, you can work with us if you want. My job is not sales. At the end of the day, it's not, it's not on me. I know my sales team doesn't want to hear that, but again, I'm just here to help you out and help kind of, my job, at least in this webinar, is going to show you how you can equip your marketing team, assuming that you've hired someone in-house, or you can pair them with a vendor, whatever it is. But, especially because I think most people in here are the solo and small firms where, they are, the marketing budget is pretty limited, and you may be kind of apportioning the majority of your budget to hiring someone in-house. So they've got to be equipped with whatever they need to do and all of that. And Heidi is asking, Molly, if you could share the agenda huddle example. Is the best way to do that for her to just email you to get that from you?
Yes. Yeah. I give you Google Drive with all 3 documents.
Okay, cool. Yeah. If you want to share that link in the chat, that would also, that could also work as well.
Great.
Cool. So yeah, I'll jump in real quick here. So first of all, talking about 25, 30 years ago, law firm marketing was all about how many billboards you had. If you had an ad in the yellow pages, maybe you did a wrap on a city bus, maybe you did park benches. I think Molly, you and I were talking the other day, like someone was doing shopping carts.
Yes.
Like the little flap where babies sit. Yeah. And then, probably direct mail. All of that, maybe except for like the yellow pages, is obsolete. But also a lot of that stuff is still pretty limited because you're relying on showing up in the places where your target market, where you think your target market is going to be hanging out. Yeah. And the nice thing about the internet, among all of the dumpster fires that exist on the internet, one of the nice things about the internet, though, is that you have a ton of control over where you show up and being able to get out in front of more of your audience in a more fluid, in a more dynamic way. And so when it comes to how you market your firm today, there are 2 pretty direct paths you can take, right? You can take the search engine route, or you can take word of mouth. So talking about search engines, the people who are exclusively looking for their lawyer on search engines, they're going to be looking for the cheapest option. All right. They are going to also only look at page 1. That stat right there, only 0.63% of every 4 million searches go to the second page. So if you're not on page 1, you're already way, way behind. But also, if you do a Google search of attorneys in your city, like estate planning lawyer near Minneapolis, for example, and you look on page 1 or the first 10 results, about half of them are already going to be directories. The other half are typically going to be big firms with multiple locations in multiple cities in that area. So really, not only are you trying to compete for page 1, you're also only trying to compete for one of 5 spots. And those 5 spots are going to be occupied by bigger firms with bigger marketing budgets who have been investing in this for years. I actually saw some stats the other day. We published them in an article on our website, and it's like the average age of a page on like page 1 of a Google search is like more than 2 years old. And so if you aren't doing anything right now, and you started now, there's a pretty good chance that 2 years from now is when you'll start to finally see some ROI on that. And if you're a small firm, you can't wait that long. You can't invest thousands of dollars a month into something and wait for 2 years to get something back on that. So there's a lot of reasons why, especially for solo and small firms, focusing on search engines is not the way to go. There's a place for it, absolutely, but it comes after you build more of a foundation on creating touch points and, kind of the point that Molly was making earlier, and just staying in touch with the people that come in the network that you have built on that. And I'll show you, kind of what that looks like here in a second. The other side of that is what I'm talking about, that word of mouth, right? Like, this is how businesses effectively marketed themselves since the day that the first business was ever created, like 5000 BC or whenever, right? Like, that's how businesses grew. That's how people found out about things. One customer had a good experience, told his friends and family about it. They went and also had a good experience. That's how, it was just that organic growth. And you can still do that today. You don't, just because the internet is a thing doesn't mean you have to market your firm entirely differently. You're just still utilizing your most valuable marketing asset, which is your contact list. And a lot of law firms don't do this. A lot of law firms are still kind of focusing on just trying to generate cold leads, even though, it's depending on what stat you read, it's like somewhere between 5 and 10 times more expensive to generate business from cold leads than it is from your existing audience. And so a huge opportunity, if you're not doing it right now, is to just market to your current audience. They're already primed. They already trust you. They can be a good referral source, or they can be repeat business, repeat clients if your practice area accounts for that, right? Like, if you're a criminal defense lawyer, you probably don't want repeat clients, or a family lawyer, maybe you don't want to file divorces for people multiple times, but business law, estate planning, tax law, all kinds of other stuff, like really, really primed for repeat business. And the nice thing about this, especially as it was compared to doing billboards or bus wraps or anything like that, you can control the message and the design and where it shows up as often as you want. You can change it up every day, even every hour if you're super into it. I don't recommend going that far, but you can change it every day if you wanted to. So all of that is done through content. So what kinds of content should you be creating for your firm? Blog posts, video FAQs, and that's a very distinct difference here. There's a lot of law firms who will do like this big cinematic brand video, a lot of slow motion, walking down the courthouse steps, a lot of B-roll of them, talking to clients. Yes, I understand. Yeah, blah, blah. And that's great. Like, if you got the budget for it, you want to put that on your website, go for it. Absolutely go for it. It's a great marketing piece. But I'm talking about FAQ style videos that show you answering common questions that you receive, really helping you demonstrate your expertise, because that makes for a lot of great content on your website. Put it on YouTube. YouTube is a huge search engine. Put it on, social media, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of ways that you can utilize that. Start a podcast. Molly and I both have our own podcasts. Great tools for marketing. Not only allows you to demonstrate your own expertise, but it could be a good referral nurturing tool. You can build some relationships, have some people on as guests. Maybe it's clients that, have a really unique story, or other businesses in your city that can be good referral partners. And you can kind of chat about maybe the synergy between, what you two do, or anything else along the way. Email newsletters, great way to stay in touch with people. And then obviously social media. So this is what I really wanted to talk to you about. And this is the strategy that I think you should be equipping your marketing team with. It's called the content loop. All right. And inside your loop is your touch points. All right. And your audience. All right. So you have your email list, and your email list is your leads, prospects, even people who said no or not right now. These people are still part of that. Referral sources, current clients and past clients. Just because someone has moved on from working with you doesn't mean that they're still not part of your audience. You still have their contact information. You should still be staying in touch with them. Other colleagues, maybe other lawyers in other cities or different practice areas that refer business back and forth to you, other strategic relationships, even your friends, your family, and vendors that you're working with. These are all of your contacts, and around them are all of the touch points, right? And I love that Molly brought up using the phone. I think, being able to call someone is another great touch point to make. Yeah, you have your blogs, you have your email newsletters that are going out, you have your social media posts that are getting in front of people, but calling people and following up with people is a great touch point to make. I mean, God knows the biggest complaint I think most people have about law firms is that they don't stay in touch with people.
Yeah.
Even the clients that retain you, I even went through this a couple of months ago. I had to hire a lawyer for something. I never heard from them. And I just assumed that they were taking care of something and that I wasn't going to just randomly get arrested for not showing up for court one day. It was just a traffic ticket. Like, I didn't do anything major, but I didn't know. And it's just, endemic of what law firms are known for. And it's just not staying in touch. And so beyond that, the way you stay in touch is through relevant content. And that's very important. And that's why I talked about why it's so important for a creative minded person to have on your team or to entrust with creating your content, because it's so much more than treating your social media feed like a digital billboard, right? Like, all of your content doesn't need to have your phone number and a call to action every single time. It needs to provide value. It needs to explain a concept. It needs to, give even just general advice. Like, you don't have to give specific legal advice, but for example, a family law attorney can have content around financially preparing for a divorce, or tips for even getting back into the dating pool after a divorce, things like that, where you're providing value, not even just in the middle of the transaction, but holistically, and you positioning you as a resource before, during, and after that entire event that someone is going through. At the same time, talking about content multiplication, you can take, you don't have to sit there and create hours and hours and hours worth of content for every single platform, right? You can create a video, you can transcribe that video, and now you have a blog post. Make a couple little edits there so there's not a lot of uhs and ums and weird sentence structure and all that, because obviously we don't talk the way we write. And so you have that. You can have, you can create multiple different mediums of content, but then you can disseminate that content out to a bunch of different platforms. Get out in front of as many people as possible. Post it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Create an image or a graphic around it. Post that to Instagram. TikTok is really, really huge right now, even if it gets banned in the future, which is crazy how no one's even talking about that anymore. That was all anyone talked about for 4 weeks, and then it amazingly disappeared. But what if like TikTok ever gets replaced? Video content is growing more and more and more the standard of how people interact with businesses and individuals even. And so being able to kind of crop that video for mobile view, send it on TikTok or Instagram Reels or even YouTube Shorts, it's all really, really important. And the last key is that evergreen consistency. You want your content to have so much value, but still be surface level enough that people can go back 8, 10, 12 months down the road and find older content that is still completely relevant, right? And that's a big distinction between what a lot of like SEO focused content is, where they just stuff it with keywords and then maybe 2 years later it ranks on Google and whatever, and it doesn't really tell you anything. But instead, you want your blog articles or your videos or whatever to provide that consistent value to where, again, like it has that staying power, and you don't have to worry about going back and making edits to it if like a specific statute in a law changes because you went really deep into the weeds on a very specific scenario. And then now, you don't want the bar coming after you for having incorrect information on your website or anything like that. So that's why this this strategy specifically is very important for your team. And so whether you have a vendor who handles the creative stuff, doing it for you, and the person on your team is handling the data, is tracking the lead sources, like Molly mentioned, making sure that you understand where your leads are coming from, and not just simply asking, oh, how'd you hear about us, but really diving in and getting that specific thing is just like, honestly, like, yeah, if someone tells you they came from Google, it's fine to ask them, well, what were you searching for specifically? Because there's a big difference between someone searching estate planning attorney in Minneapolis and someone searching your exact firm name on Google.
Yes.
And when you're talking about SEO, that's all you really need. You just need to be able to type your firm name into Google and make sure that your website comes up on page one. That's really it, especially if you're a solo or a smaller firm with that limited marketing budget. And so this strategy here, what does it create? It creates more referrals. Most law firms are not even close to maximizing the number of referrals. Even if 100% of your business comes from referral already, my favorite stat ever that I repeat all the time was from a few years ago. Found that 80% of your clients are willing to refer to you, but only about 30% actually do. So even if you think 100% of your business is coming from referral already, you still have an opportunity to double that, and you're still not maximizing what you could be getting. So that's why we think it's really important to start here with your marketing strategy. And so being able to put this kind of framework and build this kind of ecosystem with your marketing team is really important. And so they can manage an email newsletter, they can manage a blog, they can manage your social media presence. If you are comfortable enough, you can create those videos for them and use that as those additional touch points for them. To Molly's point, make sure you have a system in place where people are making calls and following up that way as well. And so just anytime you generate a new lead, they're thrown into your content loop and they are consistently nurtured. Even if they go through a decision-making process, whether they say yes or no, they still remain in your content loop and, and become either a referral source or a repeat client or whatever the case may be. And that really becomes a consistent and effective way to market your firm. So got a couple of minutes for questions. Molly, I know you have to run here in a couple of seconds, but if anyone has any questions for the last couple of minutes here, throw them in the chat. But if anyone is interested in learning more about our strategy, you can visit spotlightbranding.com. If you have that analytical person on your team and you need a creative side, we can handle that for you. And you want to book a call to learn more, you can go to spotlightbranding.com/schedule and chat with someone on our team to do that. But otherwise, yeah, I really appreciate all of you who registered, those of you who are here attending live. We'll give it a couple more minutes here for any last second questions. But yeah.
Great. And anyone that wants the tools, just shoot me an email, molly@hiringandempowering.com, and I'll have my admin send you a Google Drive.
Yeah, awesome. And I've got Molly's email there in the chat, so feel free to reach out to her and get all of that. All right. If you're shy, totally get it, totally fine. You can reach us, if you have any questions for Molly or you want those items, you can email her, molly@hiringandempowering.com. My email is john@spotlightbranding.com. If you have any marketing questions, happy to chat all about that as well.